I'm Marilyn and welcome back to my channel. Before you ask, no, I also have no idea what is going on with my hair. It's Sunday, I'm on holiday, it is what it is. Anyway, so I recently reached 4,000 followers on Tumblr, which is just incredible to me. I cannot believe that is a real number, like those are my followers. So anyway, to celebrate, I thought I would do a writing Q&A here on my YouTube channel, a little cross-marketing. So I asked my Tumblr followers if they had any writing related questions for this video, and they did. So today I'm going to be answering those. Alright, so a lot of the questions were through anonymous asks on Tumblr, so I'm not gonna say the names of the people who asked them because I don't know them. Alright, first up, I have a couple of questions. First, my story is in post-apocalyptic. Should I explain how this came to be in a prologue or during the story? So I'm going to answer that question first. I think it's much better to do it during the story. Let it unfold as it becomes relevant in terms of conversations that your characters have or things that happen in the story, things like that. Litter it in naturally rather than doing, an exposition dump for a prologue. But if you have a very, very short explanation that you can put in a prologue and still make it exciting, there's nothing preventing you from doing that. My advice would just be to do it throughout the book rather. Alright, second, I have the main conflict with a villain, but there's also a subplot first. A boy learns who he is and falls for the main girl. All these connections are important later on. Is it okay to focus first on this minor conflict and just mention the big one until after the subplot is done, or will it get boring like this? This is a very interesting question because I think that a lot of people, when they have a subplot, it resolves before the main conflict resolves, which is kind of the point of a subplot. So I think that it would be in your best interest to integrate it more, to make it a single, well, not a single plot, but a single story with various plots woven into each other, rather than having your subplot first and then focusing on your main plot. And I think it isn't enough to just mention the main conflict, because that is essentially what the book is about. So I think having at least one or two events occurring that relates to your main conflict whilst you resolve the subplot is better than doing one and then doing the other. So yeah, just look at your outline. If you have one, if you don't have one, make a rough one and just see where you can kind of integrate those two so that it makes a single story. Alright, thank you so much for those questions. Those are really good questions. Next up, Graveyard Eyes asked, so I'm writing a story about this girl with an emotion-based ability, and in the book her significant other dies, which leads her to defeat the big bad. And I'm just wondering if I maybe shouldn't do that because it's making grief about romance or something. I just would like an opinion from someone who writes. Thanks. This is a good question. There are a lot of stories with emotion-based abilities, or where the character's emotions are really the thing that helps them to break through at the end and reach their full potential. I think, and at the risk of angering maybe some men, I think if it was the other way around, if it was a male character, regardless of what sex or gender the partner is, if it was a male character and his partner dies and then he kind of gets this burst of emotion and now he can defeat the bad guy, I would personally have a problem with that, because that is such a big trope and it is a little bit of a damaging trope, because it shows you that the woman or the LGBTQ partner on the other side is only there as a means to lift up the main character. It kind of demeans the position of women and tells them that they are really only there to make sure that the male hero is lifted up and achieves his goals, which has kind of become a bit of a thing. But I think in this instance, where it is a girl who is the one who has the emotion-based ability, you kind of have that little bit of leeway because it hasn't been done as much. However, it is still a bit of a cliche, so you just need to find a way to make it stand out from all the other books in which this has already been done. But it isn't something that, you know, no, never do this, stop what you're doing. It's fine. It's actually a pretty good idea. That's why it's been used so many times. Also, it doesn't specify what the gender of the partner is. If it is a lesbian relationship, then I would also just be careful about that, because it could also be sending a message about, you know, a lesbian partner only being a side character who is easily disposable in order to lift up the main character. So just make sure that you do everything very respectfully and that you find something that separates this from all the other instances where it has already been done. But I really think that you can go forward with this and do it. So thank you for that question. Next up, I saw you post about a book release. By the way, this post that I put up about the book release is Seeker, which came out on the 10th of September, so be sure to check that out. That's by Kim Chance, by the way, not by me. Alright, just wondering if you had any advice about picking release dates. Situation: the book is written and has been has been professionally edited. The cover and blurb are made. It's been proofread and read for sensitivity. It's formatted. All that's left are ARC, readers, hyping, and the release itself. Someone else said January is typical for indie or self-pub books. Does that hold true or no? Any advice? Okay, so let me preface my answer by saying that I am in no way an expert on this. I have not been published traditionally or self-published, but I, you know, keep my eye on the ball. I try to know what's going on in the publishing industry and things like that. So any advice that I give, please do further research, because this is just from what I observed, you know, kind of in passing from following a lot of authors and following a lot of book accounts. So in the traditionally published world, January is not a good time to publish. I don't know about self-publication, but I think the trends should be kind of the same, because they look at when readers tend to buy books, and readers are readers regardless of whether you are self-published or traditionally published. But once again, I'm not an expert on this, so maybe there is a specific self-published month that is better. But from what I know, January really isn't a good month, because January is generally the month where people don't have money anymore, because they spent everything in Christmas, for the holidays and New Year's and summer. Well, for us it's summer, but you know, in the northern hemisphere, I'm sure you spend money because it's winter. So people, and January tends to feel like a very long month in terms of budget, so people tend not to spend money on things like books in January. So if you release your book in January, people aren't going to buy it then, and then that kind of misses the point. So a few of the popular months is May and September. May to a lesser degree. September is a very hot month for book publication in the traditionally published world, at least. So once again, I don't know that much about the self-publishing world in terms of release dates. So the reason for September being that is that it is starting to head into the festive season, and people buy more books at that time. There are probably various reasons. I'm not going to go into that. It's just people buy more books when it starts to go into the festive season. And that is why September is a very hot date for releases. You can also go close to September, you know, August and October would also be good months. But yeah, I don't think that any month would be absolutely detrimental, you know, where your book would just not sell any copies because you're publishing in that month. But May and September tend to be the hot months for book publication. So I hope that answers your question, but once again, please go check this out. Go to Publishers Marketplace, see when books are coming out, follow a lot of authors, try to find their release date and see what is the common trend. Especially there are a lot of self-published authors on AuthorTube, so you can maybe head over to their channels and then go over to their websites and see when their books released. So yeah, thank you for that question. That is a very, very good question. I'm sorry that I can't give a more definitive answer. Alright, any tips on writing a bad boy or girl without being too stereotypical? This is a good question because I feel like the bad boy has been done a lot, bad girl less so, but it's also becoming kind of a cliche. I think that with any character that has been done a lot, the easiest way to avoid stereotypes is just to write a well-rounded and well-developed character. So make sure that you make a character profile and that that character has unique interests and personality traits and ideologies, outlooks, things like that. They shouldn't just be the bad boy and that is all that they are. There needs to be more layers to them. There has to be a reason why they are the way they are. And also what I would recommend is maybe watching some movies with a lot of bad boys or bad girls in them and just seeing what the common cliches are and trying to create something new. So, you know, it's always difficult to explain how to avoid stereotypes because the answer is basically just don't write a stereotype, but I know it's more difficult than that in practice. So all I can really say is make sure that you put a lot of effort into the development of that character and make them a character that would have been round enough without being the bad boy or bad girl, you know. So if you take away that label, is there still enough of a character underneath? All right, and then final question, and I thought this was a very important question, especially with some of the drama that has been going on AuthorTube lately. What are your writing credentials? So let us begin. I'm just going to put down this little thing. So I started writing when I was 8. That's not really a credential, but you know, bear with me. I'm gonna tell you my whole writing story. So I started writing when I was 8 years old. And at the age of 9, I entered a national writing competition that was only open to 10-year-olds and up, but I still managed to reach the semi-finals of that competition. Then, you know, writing has always been a part of my life. I've always consistently been writing. It's been 14 years, almost 14 years now, that I've been writing consistently throughout my life. So yeah, I am one of those people who, when I decide to do something, I try to be the best at it, which, you know, isn't always the most healthy way to live, but it does help with skills. So I really did a lot of research. I've read so many books about writing. I have watched YouTube videos, read blogs. I've been querying since I was 11 years old, which, you know, it's quite obvious why that wasn't published because I was 11 and I just want to cringe when I think of that. But anyway, so I've been researching this for quite a long time. Anyway, so in high school, obviously did well with writing essays and things like that in school. And then in my final year of school, I entered once again a national writing competition, specifically a sci-fi competition, and I actually came 4th in that competition. So that was really a nice boost. And then I went on to do a BA law degree with a major in English literary studies. And one of my electives for that degree was creative writing. I obtained the degree cum laude, and I also got a 90% for that specific creative writing aspect of the degree. I'm now doing my postgraduate law, which doesn't have anything to do with writing, but I thought I'd just throw that in there. Yeah, so that is basically the credentials I have. I haven't been published, except, you know, online. I published a lot of my books on Wattpad when I was in high school, and obviously with the competitions I did, they published that online. But I haven't published a book. And so, you know, if you want advice from someone who has been published, then, you know, come back in a few years. Anyway, so yeah, that was my credentials. I think it is important to ask about people's credentials, but I think that because writing is a really non-linear thing, and there isn't a set path for all writers to follow, that if you are a writer and you have been doing this and you have figured out how to do certain things better than you used to do them, then you are qualified to give advice. Obviously when it's free. I'm not talking about having to pay thousands of dollars for something, you know, then you have to be a little more cautious in terms of the credentials. You should have a bit more, you know, professional set out standard credentials. But if I'm just giving out writing advice for free, then that's it. So anyway, just, it's been 14 years, have a degree, entered a lot of writing competitions, and did a lot of research. So those are basically my credentials. So thank you guys so much for watching this video and for submitting some questions. And to all my Tumblr followers, I really appreciate all of you. If you do not know about my Tumblr, you haven't been there yet, you're not following me, the link is below. I really do think that that is my best social media platform, hence the fact that I have 4,000 followers there. If you want writing advice, you want me sharing things about writing, it's just some funny posts, if you want to ask me questions, if you want to send me a message, you should head on over to that blog, because that really is Madeleine Central. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and a share. Also, if you would like to request any writing advice videos, then you can leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions, head on over to my Tumblr, ask me. You can ask me on Instagram, you can ask me on my websites. All of the links are listed below, and then I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye!